The shuttle doors opened and Park Do-han took his first step into the Galactic Academy. He was 19 years old. He was the first Korean student to ever walk these halls. And he was completely alone. The station was enormous. The ceiling stretched so high that clouds actually formed near the top. Thousands of aliens walked past him. Some had 4 legs. Some had no legs at all and floated through the air. Some were tall and thin like glass sculptures. Others were short and wide like living boulders. Do-han had studied all these species in his training back on Earth, but seeing them in person was different. Very different. He pulled his small bag closer to his chest and walked forward. His legs felt heavy, not because of the gravity. The station matched Earth's gravity almost perfectly. His legs felt heavy because every alien he passed looked at him with the same expression. Disgust, fear, sometimes both. He knew why. Earth was classified as Deathworld 7. In galactic terms, that meant his home planet was considered one of the most dangerous places in the known universe. The air was toxic by most species standards. The gravity crushed bones that had not evolved to handle it. The weather could kill. The animals could kill. The plants could kill. Even the water could kill if you drank from the wrong source. And the humans? The creatures that had not only survived this nightmare world, but had thrived on it. They terrified the galaxy. Do-han did not feel terrifying. He felt small. He felt tired. He felt like he wanted to go home and eat his grandmother's cooking and sleep in his own bed. But he kept walking. He found the registration desk after 20 minutes of wandering. A creature with gray skin and 6 eyes sat behind the counter. It looked up at him and immediately leaned back in its chair. Away from him. Human, the creature said. It was not a greeting. It was an identification. Like someone identifying a dangerous animal. Yes, Do-han said. He bowed slightly. It was habit. On Earth, you bowed to show respect. My name is Park Do-han. I am here for the exchange program. The creature typed something into its console without looking away from him. Its 6 eyes never blinked. Building 7, room 445. Do not cause problems. Do-han bowed again. Thank you. He walked away. Behind him, he heard the creature speak into a communication device. Security alert. Terran on campus. Building 7. Do-han pretended he did not hear it. Building 7 was on the far edge of the campus. It was the oldest building. The walls were cracked. The lights flickered. Do-han understood immediately. They had put him as far from everyone else as possible. He found room 445 and pressed his hand to the door panel. It scanned him and clicked open. The room was small. A bed, a desk, a window that looked out at the stars. That was all. Do-han set his bag on the bed and sat down. He was tired. The journey from Earth had taken 3 weeks. 3 weeks in a cramped transport ship with aliens who refused to sit near him. 3 weeks of eating alone. 3 weeks of silence. He opened his bag and pulled out a small folded cloth. He unfolded it carefully. It was a Korean flag. His grandmother had given it to him the day he left Earth. You will feel alone, she had told him. Her hands had been warm and soft. Her eyes had been wet with tears she refused to let fall. But you are never alone. You carry all of us with you. You carry Korea. You carry Earth. You carry your family. Never forget who you are. Do-han held the flag against his chest for a moment. Then he folded it again and placed it under his pillow. A knock came at his door. He stood and opened it. A young woman stood there. She was human, Korean. Her hair was cut short and her eyes were sharp and intelligent. She smiled when she saw him. Park Do-han, she said. You look exactly like your photo. I am Kang Yuna. I have been here for 2 years. I am supposed to help you adjust. Dohan felt something in his chest loosen. He was not the only one. "Thank you for coming." Eunice stepped into his room and looked around. Her smile faded. "They gave you Building 7. Of course they did." She turned to face him. "It is worse than the briefing said. The anti-human sentiment. You need to be careful. I will be careful. I mean it, Dohan. These species do not understand us. They look at our planet classification and see monsters. They do not see people. They see threats." The drone nodded. He had expected this. "I will not cause trouble. I am here to learn. That is all." Eunice studied his face for a long moment. Then she sighed. "You are very calm. That is good. Keep being calm. Do not give them reasons to fear you more than they already do." She gave him a datapad with maps and schedules. She told him where to eat, where to study, which areas to avoid. Then she left, promising to check on him tomorrow. Dohan stood at his window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, very far away, was Earth, was Korea, was his grandmother. He pressed his hand against the cold glass. "I will make you proud," he whispered. "I promise." The next morning, Dohan went to his first class. The room was full of aliens from dozens of species. When he walked in, every conversation stopped. Every eye turned to him. He found an empty seat in the back corner. No one sat near him. The closest student moved 3 seats away. The professor entered. A tall being with silver skin and no visible mouth. It communicated through vibrations in the air. "We have a new student," the professor announced. A Terran. From the Deathworld. The class turned to look at Dohan again. "Try not to kill anyone," someone said. The class laughed. Dohan said nothing. He opened his notebook. He began to write. He would show them. Not with violence. Not with anger. But with patience. With excellence. With quiet, unshakable dignity. He was Korean. He was Terran. He was a survivor. And he had nothing to prove to anyone but himself. 3 weeks passed. Dohan studied hard. He attended every class. He completed every assignment. His grades were among the highest in his year. None of it mattered. The other students still avoided him. Professors still watched him with nervous eyes. Security guards still followed him through the hallways, keeping their distance but never letting him out of their sight. And then there was VOK. VOK was a Talari. His species was tall and thin, with blue skin that seemed to glow faintly in dim light. They were considered one of the most elegant and cultured species in the galaxy. They were also one of the most powerful. Vok's family owned entire planets. His father sat on the Galactic Council. Vok hated humans. He made this clear every chance he got. "Look," Vok said loudly one morning in the dining hall. "The animal is trying to eat with utensils." His friends laughed. There were 5 of them. All from wealthy families. All from species that had never known hardship. Dohan kept eating. He did not look up. He had learned quickly that looking up only encouraged them. "On my world," Vok continued, walking closer, "creatures like you are kept in enclosures. For the safety of civilized beings." Dohan took another bite of his food. It tasted like nothing. The Academy food was designed for dozens of species and satisfied none of them. Vok slapped the tray out of Dohan's hands. It clattered to the floor. Food spilled everywhere. The dining hall went quiet. Dohan looked at the mess on the floor. Then he looked up at Vok. The Talari was smiling, waiting. Dohan stood. Slowly, carefully. Vok was tall. But Dohan was not short. Their eyes met. For a moment, something flickered in Vok's expression. Something that might have been doubt. But it disappeared quickly. "Are you going to do something, Deathworlder?" Vok asked. "Show us what savages do when they are angry." Dohan bent down. He picked up his tray. He cleaned up the spilled food with his hands. Then he stood, bowed slightly to Vok, and walked away. Behind him, the dining hall erupted in laughter. That night, Yuna found him in his room. "I heard what happened," she said. Her voice was tight with anger. "You should report him. It will not help. You cannot just let him treat you like that." Dohan looked out his window at the stars. "If I fight back, I prove them right. I become the violent animal they believe I am. If I report him, nothing will happen. His family is too powerful. Either way, I lose." Yuna sat down heavily on his bed. "This is not fair. No, it is not." They sat in silence for a while. Then Yuna left. She looked worried. The harassment continued. It grew worse. One morning, Dohan arrived at his laboratory to find his research project destroyed. He had been working on it for 2 weeks. A detailed analysis of atmospheric adaptation across Deathworld species. It was supposed to prove that Terrans could contribute to galactic science. Everything was smashed. His data was deleted. On the wall, someone had written, "Go back to your death planet." Dohan stared at the destruction for a long time. His hands shook slightly, but his face remained calm. He reported the incident. As expected, nothing happened. There was no investigation, no punishment. The Academy simply told him to start over. Later that day, Vok found him in an empty corridor. This time, Vok did not just talk. He grabbed Dohan by the collar and shoved him against the wall. Hard. Dohan's head hit the metal surface. Stars exploded in his vision. "I know it was you," Vok hissed. "You reported the laboratory incident. Do you think anyone cares? Do you think anyone will help you?" Dohan's hands moved on instinct. For one brief moment, they rose toward Vok's throat. Every survival instinct in his body screamed at him to fight back, to end this threat, to survive. He stopped himself. His hands dropped to his sides. His breathing was controlled, slow, deliberate. Vok laughed. "You are pathetic. Not even brave enough to fight." He shoved Dohan again and walked away with his friends. Dohan stood alone in the corridor. His back hurt where he had hit the wall. His head throbbed, but his face remained calm. That evening, a senior human student visited his room. His name was Lee Taiwu. He was tall and quiet and moved like someone who understood how to handle himself. "I heard about Vok," Taiwu said. "He did not sit down. You did the right thing, not fighting back. It did not feel right." Taiwu nodded slowly. "It never does. But listen to me carefully, Dohan. These species do not understand what we are, what Earth made us. They see our planet classification and think we are mindless beasts. They do not realize that we are something much more controlled, much more patient." He leaned closer. "Do not show them what you really are. Not unless you have no other choice. Because once they see it, they can never unsee it. And everything changes." Dohan looked at the older man. "What if they force me to show them?" Taiwu's expression was unreadable. "Then make sure it is worth it." He left. Dohan lay on his bed and stared at the ceiling. He thought about home, about his grandmother, about the lessons she had taught him. Patience is strength. Calm is power. The storm inside must be controlled. He had controlled it his entire life. On Earth, where every day was survival. On the transport ship, where aliens treated him like a disease. Here at the Academy, where he was hated for existing. But even storms have limits. The next day, a small alien approached him in the library. A Kellion. Its name was Nyx. It was tiny and nervous, with huge dark eyes that seemed too big for its face. "I'm sorry," Nyx said quietly, "for how they treat you. It is not right." Dohan looked at the small creature. It was trembling. "Thank you," he said. "That means more than you know." Nick sat down across from him. "I want to understand. Your world. Your species. The others are afraid, but I am curious. Is that strange?" For the first time in weeks, Do-hun smiled. "No," he said. "That is not strange at all. That is how things should be." They talked for hours. Nix asked questions about Earth, about humans, about what it meant to live on a world that was constantly trying to kill you. Do-hun answered as honestly as he could, and for one afternoon, he did not feel quite so alone. But outside, Vok watched from a distance. His eyes were cold. His mind was planning that if the human would not break through insults, Vok would find another way. Everyone had someone they cared about, even animals. The message came at midnight. Do-hun was sleeping when his communication device screamed to life. He grabbed it and saw the words that turned his blood to ice. Emergency. Yuna injured. Medical. Bay. He ran. He did not remember putting on shoes. He did not remember leaving his room. He just ran. 2 corridors. Past startled aliens. 2 doors that barely opened fast enough to let him pass. The medical bay was bright and cold. A doctor met him at the entrance. A creature with 4 arms and skin like white paper. "Are you family?" The doctor asked. "She is my friend. My only friend." "What happened?" The doctor hesitated. "There was an accident. In the zero-gravity training bay. A malfunction. She hit a bulkhead at high speed." Do-hun's heart stopped. "Is she alive?" "Yes, but her injuries are severe. She is unconscious. We do not know when she will wake." They led him to her room. Yuna lay on a white bed, surrounded by machines that beeped and hummed. Her face was pale. Bandages covered her head. Tubes ran into her arms. Thought she looked small, fragile, broken. Do-hun sat beside her bed. He took her hand. It was cold. "I am here," he whispered. "I am here, Yuna. You are going to be okay." She did not respond. The machines beeped. The lights HUMMED. Do-hun sat there all night. He did not move. He did not sleep. He just held her hand and watched her breathe. In the morning, Nix found him. The small Kellion looked terrible. Its big eyes were red. Its tiny hands were shaking. "I have to tell you something," Nix said. Its voice was barely a whisper. "About the accident." Do-hun looked up. Something in his expression made Nix step back. "Tell me." Nix swallowed hard. It was not an accident. The malfunction was caused deliberately. Vok did it. He told everyone he was going to hurt someone you cared about. To make you break. To prove that humans are the violent animals he says we are. Do-hun was very still. Very quiet. "Are you certain?" Nix nodded. "I heard him talking to his friends. They were laughing about it. They said..." Nix paused. "They said she deserved it for befriending a Deathworlder." For a long moment, Do-hun did not move. He did not speak. He barely seemed to breathe. Then something changed. It was subtle. A shift in his posture. A hardening of his eyes. The air around him seemed to grow heavier, colder. Nix felt a sudden urge to run away. An ancient instinct, buried deep in its genes, screaming that it was in the presence of a predator. Do-hun stood. "Thank you for telling me," he said. His voice was calm. Too calm. Like the surface of a frozen lake hiding dark water beneath. "Please stay with her. Make sure she is not alone. What are you going to do?" Do-hun did not answer. He walked out of the medical bay. The academy's administration building was on the other side of the campus. Do-hun walked the entire way. Students moved out of his path. They did not know why. They just felt that they should. He entered the building and walked straight to the Office of Academic Affairs. The secretary, A nervous creature with too many eyes tried to stop him. You cannot go in without an appointment. Do-han walked past. The secretary did not try to stop him again. High Scholar Bren sat behind a massive desk. The headmaster of the academy was ancient. Its species lived for thousands of years. Its skin was like old leather. Its eyes were deep, and knowing it looked up as Do-han entered. "Pardon," Bren said. "I have heard about Miss Kong. I am sorry for what happened. You know it was not an accident." Bren was silent. "You know Vok did this. And you will do nothing. Because his family is powerful. Because he is important. Because I'm just a human from a Deathworld." Bren's ancient eyes were unreadable. "What do you want, Mr. Park?" Do-han's voice was steady. The Talari still recognized the challenge of honor, an ancient tradition. A formal duel to settle grievances. By galactic law, Vok cannot refuse if I invoke it properly. Bren leaned back slowly. "You want to fight him. I want justice. This is not justice. This is violence. No." Do-han's eyes were cold. "Violence is what Vok did to Yuna. What I am asking for is legal. Recognized. Formal. I have read the laws. I know my rights." Bren studied him for a long moment. "You understand what you are asking. A challenge of honor is a duel to incapacitation or surrender. The Talari train their youth in combat from childhood. Vok has been fighting for longer than you have been alive. I understand. You could be seriously hurt. Killed, even. I understand." Bren's ancient face showed something that might have been concern. Or perhaps respect. Why? Why risk everything for this? Do-han thought of Yuna, lying in that bed, pale and broken. Because of him. Because someone wanted to hurt him. Because some things are worth the risk. The silence stretched between them. Finally, Bren nodded slowly. "Very well. I will inform Vok of your challenge. The duel will take place in 3 days in the central arena. The entire academy will witness it." Do-han bowed. "Thank you, High Scholar." He turned and walked out. Bren sat alone in the quiet office. After a long moment, the ancient being reached for a console and pulled up. File, Earth, Deathworld 7, Humanity. File was long, detailed, full of information that most galactic citizens never bothered to read. Bren began to read. That night, Do-han returned to Yuna's bedside. She was still unconscious, still pale, but her breathing was steady. He held her hand again. "I am going to make this right," he told her. "I promise. I know you would tell me not to. I know you would say this is stupid. But I cannot let them hurt you and do nothing. I am not strong enough to do nothing anymore." He leaned his head against the edge of her bed. "Please wake up. Please be okay." The machines beeped. The lights HUMMED. And somewhere across the campus, Vok received the news of the challenge. His first reaction was laughter. Then confusion. Then something that might have been fear. But he buried the fear quickly. What could a human possibly do to him? He would crush the Deathworlder in front of everyone. And finally, the galaxy would see these Terrans for what they truly were. Weak, pathetic, inferior. At least. That was what Vok believed. He was wrong. He was very, very wrong. The arena was full. 10,000 beings from across the galaxy packed the seats. They had come to watch history. A human, challenging a Talari noble to formal combat. It was unthinkable, absurd. Everyone expected a quick and brutal defeat. Do-han stood at one end of the arena. He wore simple academy clothes. No armor, no weapons. His hands were empty at his sides. At the other end, Vok stood in full ceremonial armor. It gleamed under the arena lights. Blue and silver, decorated with the symbols of his noble house. In his hands, he held a fighting staff, a traditional Telari weapon. He had trained with it since childhood. The crowd murmured. Some laughed. Others shook their heads. A few looked uncomfortable, like they were about to witness something shameful. High Scholar Bren stood at the center of the arena. The ancient being raised a hand, and silence fell. "This is a formal challenge of honor," Bren announced. "The challenged party, Vok of House Telari. The challenger, Park Doan of Earth. The duel ends when one party surrenders, loses consciousness, or is unable to continue. Killing is forbidden, but accidents happen." The crowd understood. Whatever happened to the human, no one would be blamed. Bren looked at both fighters. "Are you ready?" Vok twirled his staff with practiced ease. "Let us end this quickly. I have better things to do." Bren turned to Doan. "And you?" Doan bowed. A small, respectful bow. Then he straightened and settled into a stance. His feet were shoulder-width apart. His hands were open. His breathing was slow and steady. "I am ready." Bren stepped back. "Begin." Vok attacked immediately. He was fast. Faster than most species in the galaxy. His staff blurred through the air, aimed at Dohan's head. A blow that would end the fight in one strike. Dohan moved. One moment he was there. The next, he was not. The staff cut through empty air. The crowd went silent. Vok spun and attacked again. A rapid series of strikes. Each one precisely aimed. Each one deadly. Dohan dodged them all. He did not block. He did not attack. He simply was not where the staff was. His movements were small, efficient, like water flowing around stone. Vok's face showed the first signs of confusion, then frustration. He attacked harder, faster. Dohan moved like he knew where every strike would land before it happened. And perhaps he did. Humans had evolved on a world where predators attacked from every direction, where a moment of hesitation meant death. Their reflexes were not just fast. They were predictive. "Stand still," Vok shouted. His composure was cracking. "Fight me." "No," Doan said quietly. "I will wait." "For what?" "For you to understand." Vok screamed in rage and swung with all his strength. A devastating horizontal strike that should have broken ribs. This time, Dohan did not dodge. He caught the staff. The impact was loud. The staff stopped dead in his hands. Vok stared in shock. He tried to pull the weapon back. It did not move. Dohan's fingers were wrapped around the staff like iron clamps. His arm muscles stood out like cables under his skin. This was the strength of a being evolved under crushing gravity. This was what Earth did to its children. "Do you feel that?" Doan asked quietly. "That is gravity. On my world, we live under 10 times the force most species experience. Our bones are dense. Our muscles are strong. Not because we trained. Because we had no choice." He pulled. Vok stumbled forward. Dohan released the staff and stepped back. "I have been patient," Dohan continued. "I have been calm. I ignored your insults. I accepted your hatred. I told myself that fighting would solve nothing. That violence was the wrong answer." He looked directly into Vok's eyes. "But you hurt Yuna, and now I understand. My patience was not kindness. It was permission. I gave you permission to keep hurting people because you faced no consequences." Vok backed away. For the first time, real fear showed in his face. "That ends today." Dohan moved. Later, witnesses would struggle to describe what they saw. The humans seemed to disappear. One moment he was standing still. The next, he was everywhere. Vok swung his staff. Doan was inside his guard. A palm strike to the chest sent Vok staggering. The Telari recovered and attacked. Dohan caught his arm, twisted, and threw him to the ground. The crowd gasped. Vok scrambled to his feet. He swung wildly. Daohan ducked under the blow and drove his fist into Vok's stomach. The Talari doubled over. Daohan grabbed his head and brought his knee up. Vok collapsed. The arena was absolutely silent. 10,000 beings watched in shock as the Talari noble lay on the ground, gasping for breath. His expensive armor was dented. His staff had fallen somewhere. Blood dripped from his nose. Daohan stood over him. He was not even breathing hard. "Stand up," Daohan said. "You wanted to see what a human could do. I am showing you." Vok struggled to his feet. His legs shook. His eyes were wide with terror. "What are you?" he whispered. "I am a student," Daohan said. "I came here to learn, to study, to prove that my species deserves a place in this galaxy. You could not accept that. You could not accept that a human might be your equal. So you hurt my friend to break me." He stepped closer. Vok stepped back. "You failed." Vok threw a desperate punch. Daohan caught it easily. He squeezed. Bones creaked. Vok cried out in pain. "On my world," Daohan said quietly, "we have a saying. The nail that sticks up gets hammered down." For weeks, I tried not to stick up. I tried to blend in, to be quiet, to be harmless. But you would not let me. He released Vok's hand and pushed him away. "So now I will stick up. And if anyone tries to hammer me down again, I will show them what a nail from Earth looks like." Vok fell to his knees. Tears streamed down his blue face. "I surrender," he sobbed. "Please, I surrender." Daohan looked down at him. The entire arena watched, waiting, expecting the Deathworlder to finish what he started. But Daohan simply stepped back. "I accept your surrender." He turned and walked toward the exit. The crowd parted for him. Beings pressed against the walls to give him space. Their eyes were filled with a new emotion, not hatred, not disgust, fear, and something else. Respect. High Scholar Bren watched him go. Then the ancient being returned to its office and opened the file on Earth again. On humanity. On Deathworld 7. The file described a planet of impossible conditions. A species that should not exist. A people who had faced extinction countless times and survived every single time. But it also described something else. Something the galaxy had missed. Humans were not just survivors. They were protectors. Throughout their history, they fought hardest not for themselves, but for those they loved. They were dangerous, yes, but their danger was not random. It was focused, controlled, aimed at threats. Bren closed the file and stared at nothing. "We sent them invitations to our academy," the ancient being murmured. "We thought we were teaching them. We thought we were civilizing them." A long, slow breath. "We had it backwards. They are going to teach us." In the medical bay, Yuna's eyes fluttered open, and in the corridor outside the arena, Daohan finally let himself breathe. His hands were shaking. His heart was pounding. The calm mask he had worn during the fight was cracking. He had done it. He had won. But as he walked back to the medical bay, he knew this was not the end. This was just the beginning. Yuna was awake when Daohan walked into the medical bay. She was sitting up in bed. Color had returned to her face. Her eyes were tired but clear. A small smile crossed her lips when she saw him. "I heard you did something stupid," she said. Daohan sat beside her bed. "Who told you?" "Everyone told me. The doctors, the nurses, random aliens who came to look at the famous Deathworlder's friend." She shook her head slowly. "You challenged Vok to a duel. A formal duel. You could have been killed. I was careful. You were an idiot." Daohan smiled. "Perhaps." Yuna reached out and grabbed his hand. Then she punched his shoulder with her other hand. It was a weak punch. She was still recovering. but it made her point. "That is for making me worry," she said. Then she pulled him into a hug. "And this is for being my friend." They held each other for a long moment. When they separated, Yuna's eyes were wet. "He really hurt me because of you," she said quietly. "Because I was your friend." "Yes, and you beat him in front of everyone." "Yes," she laughed. It was a small, tired laugh, but it was real. "Good. I hope his family is embarrassed forever." They were. News of the duel spread across the academy within hours. By the next day, it had spread to the galactic news networks. A human student had defeated a Tellari noble in formal combat. The noble had cried. He had begged for mercy. The human had given it. Vox's family tried to suppress the story. They failed. The video was everywhere. Billions of beings across thousands of worlds watched the small human dismantle their son. 3 days later, Vox was expelled from the academy. His family claimed he was leaving voluntarily, but everyone knew the truth. He'd been humiliated, destroyed, and everyone had seen it. But the real change was not about VOK. The real change was about humans. Dohan noticed it immediately. Aliens who had avoided him for weeks now stepped aside when he walked past. Not from disgust, from something else. A kind of nervous respect. They looked at him differently. They spoke to him differently. "They are afraid of you now," Taiwu said. The senior human student found Dohan in the library a week after the duel. But it is a different kind of fear. Before, they feared what they imagined you were. Now they fear what they know you are. I do not want people to fear me. I know. But fear can become respect. And respect can become friendship. Give it time. Taiwu was right. Slowly, other students began approaching Dohan, cautiously at first. Then with more confidence. They asked questions about Earth, about humans, about what it was like to live on a Deathworld. "Is it true your planet has storms that destroy entire cities?" One student asked. "Yes." "And animals with teeth that can bite through metal?" Some, "Yes." "And you survive this? Without technology? Without protection?" Dohan thought about it. "We survive because we help each other. No human can survive Earth alone. We work together. We protect each other. We build communities where the strong help the weak." The student looked confused. "But you are the strong ones. Why would you help the weak?" "Because strength means nothing if you do not use it to protect those who need it." The student went away thinking. Dohan hoped something had changed in their mind. High Scholar Bren summoned him to the administration building 2 weeks after the duel. Dohan entered the ancient being's office and bowed. "Please sit," Bren said. "We have much to discuss." Dohan sat. Bren was quiet for a long moment. Then the ancient being spoke slowly, carefully. "I have been headmaster of this academy for 300 years. I have seen many species, many students. I believed I understood the galaxy." The old eyes met Dohan's. "I was wrong about your kind. I read your planet's file after the duel. Truly read it. Not just the warnings about gravity and weather, but the history, the culture, the stories." Bren leaned forward. "Your species has faced extinction many times. Ice ages, diseases, wars. Every time you survived. Not because you were the strongest. Not because you were the smartest. But because you refused to give up. Because you helped each other. Because you loved each other." Dawn said nothing. "I owe you an apology," Bren continued. "We saw your homeworld and assumed you were monsters. Dangerous animals that needed to be watched and controlled. We did not realize that you were something far more complex. That the danger and the kindness come from the same place. We are not monsters," Dohun said quietly. "We are just hard to kill. There is a difference." Bren nodded slowly. Yes, there is. The ancient being stood. I am going to change how this academy treats Terran students. Starting today. You have shown us that we were wrong to fear you. Or rather, that we were wrong about why we should fear you. The danger is not that you will attack us. The danger is that we will never understand what you truly are. Dawan stood and bowed. Thank you, High Scholar. He returned to his room. For the first time since arriving at the academy, he felt like he belonged. That evening, Nix visited him. The small Kellyan was practically bouncing with excitement. Everyone is talking about you, Nix said. Not bad things anymore. Good things. They say you are honorable. That you could have hurt Vok much worse, but you chose not to. That you showed mercy. Mercy is not weakness. No, Nix agreed. It is not. I think many beings are learning that now. They sat together in Dohan's small room. Through the window, stars glittered in the endless dark. Tell me more about Earth, Nix said. I want to understand everything. Dohan smiled. How much time do you have? As much as you need. So Dohan talked. He told Nix about his grandmother. About Korea. About the mountains and the cities and the storms and the seasons. About the way humans celebrated when they were happy and mourned when they were sad. About the food and the music and the art. He talked until his voice grew tired. And when he stopped, Nix looked at him with something like wonder. Your world sounds terrifying, the Kellyan said. And beautiful. I would like to see it someday. Maybe you will. Later that night, after Nix left, Dohan pulled out his grandmother's flag. He unfolded it and held it up to the starlight. He thought about everything that had happened. The loneliness, the hatred, the violence, the pain, and then the understanding, the friendship, the respect. We survive, he said to himself in Korean. That is what we do. We survive, and we keep surviving, and we help others survive too. He folded the flag carefully and placed it under his pillow. Tomorrow he would go to class. He would study. He would learn. He would make friends and help others and show the galaxy what humanity truly was. Not monsters. Not animals. Not threats. Just people. Strange and strong and kind and dangerous and wonderful people from a world that tried to kill them every single day. They had earned their place among the stars, and Park Dawn was going to make sure the galaxy never forgot it. The stars glittered outside his window. Somewhere very far away, Earth spun on its axis. Storms raged. Predators hunted. Humans lived and loved and died and were born again. And in the endless dark between worlds, a quiet young man from Korea closed his eyes and dreamed of home. He was not alone anymore. He never would be again.